Mansfield today, the Sunday edition. It's the leisure edition. It's where we take a look at the fun stuff in life as opposed to medical and legal and all the rest of it. We get down and get a little bit dirty as well, which is always great. And there's no better place to get down and get dirty than in a kitchen. And we're joined now by our resident chef, Chef Martin Kobald, also known as Chef MLK, and we find him in Austria. Where exactly in Austria are you, Mart?
I'm now in St. Michael, which is a little village in Lungau, which is it's one of the provinces in Salzburg. So right in the middle, surrounded by beautiful mountains. Last night it was getting a bit cold and rainy. So if I look out the window here now, although it's spring, we've got snow on top again. Can you believe it?
Wow.
But that's just how it is here in Austria, But it's a rainy day today. But from next week, they say it's going to be beautiful again. So yeah, all good.
It looks like you're in a restaurant. I'm just looking at the background there.
I'm in a restaurant in the 4-star hotel, which we just redoing the concept of the culinary side of the hotel. So I redesigned the whole menu in the hotel, new menus, new training for all the staff. Staff actually has just started today. The executive chef we had here for a couple of days already, but the rest of the kitchen staff started today. So tomorrow is the big opening day. Today we're cooking through all the a la carte menus and a couple of dishes from the buffet. So yeah, it's very exciting. It's great. I'm glad to be in the kitchen again because hospitality industry in Austria was closed now for over 6 months. And today is actually the officially opening of hospitality industry in Austria, but the hotel's only opening tomorrow. So yeah, exciting times.
Okay, but one of the things that you would have to put on a menu in Austria would surely have to be an Austrian goulash soup.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's a given. That's an absolute given. I don't think there's any restaurant where you would not get an Austrian goulash soup. So yeah, it's definitely on, and that wasn't earlier.
Now tell us, how do you make a traditional Austrian goulash soup? And by the way, hang on before you start. By the way, don't run off and go and grab a pen and paper, because you can go to the Chef MLK site afterwards, which Martin will give you, and you can go to the mansfieldtoday.com site, and we'll post those recipes there. So just listen your way through it, and then you can go and pick up the recipe and the method. Okay, tell us about it.
Just enjoy the recipe. So, and if there's obviously any questions, people can send us then whatever the questions, wherever, in whichever means. Yeah. All right, Austrian goulash soup. Oh, well, Austrian goulash soup is not that long around as yet. I mean, we're talking about the 12th century. So yeah, in the Austrian history is not that long, but it's actually originated in Hungary. Just to give a bit of a background, if I may. Well, it originated in Hungary in the 9th century, and it's basically was done there by the shepherds, and very interestingly, to preserve it, because obviously those days they didn't have refrigeration and freezers, etc. They cooked the meat, they cut the meat with water and onions and whatever other means they had, and they cooked it until all the water was absorbed, and then they dried it in the sun, and they had those flakes with onions and the meat, etc., and they stored it in like handmade sheepskin bags or sheep stomachs, and that's how when they went on the field with their flocks of sheep, etc., that's how they stored it, and they just regenerated it with just adding some water, boiling it up, and that was their meal. So it's quite interesting history about the goulash soup from Hungary. But let me just tell you a little bit about the recipe itself. Very simple. Use about 250 grams of onions. You chop them quite fine. Some cloves of garlic. Garlic's very important in that recipe. Some medium-sized carrots diced. Not a necessity. This is something which is just from the modern goulash soup sort of swindled itself in as the carrots. I don't personally like them, so I'll normally leave them out, but it's commonly known to have carrots now in these days. Very important, some fresh tomatoes, some sprigs of fresh marjoram, some beef shin. Shin is my preferred cut because it's a little bit laced with some fat, etc. So that gives it a nice texture of the meat. But obviously, you can also use top side or silver side or very lean pieces of meat. But I prefer the beef shin. So it's about 500 grams of that, cut in very small cubes, about centimeter by centimeter. Tablespoon of paprika, 1.5 liters of organic beef stock or just beef stock, half a tablespoon of caraway seeds whole, some red wine vinegar, a tablespoon of tomato puree, about 200 grams of potatoes, also cut in cubes more or less the size of your meat, and then just to add it on right at the end, a bit of sour cream. So basically what you do, Jeremy, you just you peel your onions, you peel them, you crush the garlic, you cut the onions, and you just dice them quite nicely, and you just your marjoram, you add all those ingredients in there. You take a big pot, you just add some oil or some wholesome or whatever you have in your pantry. You add your onions, you add your meat, and you just start cooking it and braising it quite nicely. So the meat will release quite a lot of water, and then all this water, it disappears and evaporates. It starts roasting in your pot, and you roast it until it's nice and golden brown, and then you add just all your other ingredients, your paprika, your vinegar, your tomatoes, etc., and you add your beef stock, and then let it just simmer for about good 1.5 hours until the meat is nice and soft. And then about half an hour before finishing, you add your potatoes and salt, pepper to serve. If you want some spice, you add some chili or some cayenne pepper. Austrian goulash soup is normally quite nice and spicy, so I like to add a bit of cayenne pepper. And then just to serve, you just add a blob of nice sour cream if you like it. Otherwise, you just serve it with some nice rye bread or just a big loaf of bread, which is very, very important to have with your goulash soup. And prefer to eat at midnight after a couple of glasses of wine or beer.
Chef, lovely to speak to you once again. We'll catch up with you again next week once again. And that recipe, by the way, will go up on the chefmlk.co.za site as well as the mansfieldtoday.com site. Chef MLK in Austria, thank you for your time.